Hi guys, we are back on our Sprite. Now we have to try out GODOT. To try out GODOT, we have to export Sprite. For games, we export PNGs as sprite sheets and then open it on GODOT. So here we are on our Sprite, and here is our animation: stand, walk, jump, and then depth. I have changed depth a little bit. This is our depth. Okay, so select layer 1 and we are gonna export this. So we start here from file, from export a sprite sheet. In export sprite sheet, sometimes if you try, it will be like this, a big sprite sheet, but we want its borders trimmed. So trim sprite in borders, trim sprite. Okay, so in layout, you can select it as horizontal strip or vertical strip, or by rows, by column, packed, anything. Here I'm going to do this as horizontal strip. Constraints, none. In sprite, source as sprite, you can select as sprite grid. Tile set, we are going to export as sprite sheet, so select sprite. You can also export like visible layers, selected layers only, or layer 1, like that. And for frames, you can always select our tagged frames, like stand. If you select stand, the only frame you are seeing is stand. And walk, the walk animations only. Jump and depth animations. Okay, you can I'm going to select all the frames. And for borders, trim sprite or trim cells if needed, and then by grid, extrude if needed. That's all. Then for output file, right, then directly export. We click to preview, so this is the preview we are getting. Okay, so once more we export this, export as sprite sheet. Export, our sprite sheet is exported, and we can find this in our sprite download folder. Let's try GODOT. I'm gonna close sprite completely. Here is our GODOT. Make it full screen. This is our GODOT. Let's create a new game project. Let's name this as 0. If we click create, a tab opens up, and in that tab, let's select compatibility mode. You can see GODOT on default mode is in 3D, but we are developing a 2D game, so we can shift the scenes into 2D. Node 2D. Let's rename this Node 2D as our game name. So let's rename as game 0. Okay. Then we have a folder directory. We have to create a folder. Let's name it as assets. In this assets folder, we have to paste our game assets. For that, we have to create game assets. Here you can see that I have created 4 folders. That's for fonts. This is empty now. We can always add it later. Music, sounds, and sprites. In the sprites, I have pasted our sprite sheet we have exported from sprite. Here is the sprite sheet, you can see. And what you're gonna do is just grab these sprite sheets and go to GODOT, move to our asset folder. In the asset folder, just drop it. Okay, so after dropping it in the asset folder, we can always see that under our assets, here is our sprite folder, and in the sprite folder we can see our sprite sheet. So we need 2 more folders here. Right click, create folder, and let's name it as scenes. Okay, and then another, this time name it as script. These are our important folders. Only in the asset folder we have pasted the sprite. Now we can save our scene. Select game 0 and control S for saving, and then select our scenes folder, then save. Here you can see under our scene folder our scene is saved. You can now run our scene if you want to. Select the current scene to run. Here is our scene. There is nothing in our scene, so it will be empty. Just close it. Now let's bring our character here in our game engine. So for that we have to create another scene, and we have to select character body 2D. You can see that a 2D physics body is specialized for characters moved by script. So create. This is our character 0. Next we need to import our sprite, so we need another node to add node and type sprite 2D. We have our sprite animated, so it's animated sprite 2D. Sprite node that contains multiple textures as frames to play for animations. That is animated sprite 2D. Click create. So we can see that character body 2D and animated sprite 2D are here. See, on our right side there is an inspector tab. If we select character body or animated sprite, there will be an inspector tab opening here. We can change properties of animated sprite 2D or character body 2D. These are nodes. We can change its properties our wish. Select animated sprite 2D. On its right side on inspector we will see a sprite frames and it's empty. Select new sprite frames and just click on the sprite frames. Will open up a panel on our bottom side, and this panel just select add frames. We have kept our sprite sheets on the assets folder, and inside sprite just select open. Just zoom in. You can see all our characters, but the grid is not accurately mapped. First we are going to animate its idle state or its stand state. So we just want you can always adjust these grids to match our characters perfectly. I think 11 is the perfect grid, and then we can select whatever we want. I'm going to animate the standing pose only now. I am selecting first 2 frames, add 2 frames, and you can see our frames is here. You can always see this is our character body and it is perfectly placed on center. Just zoom in, scroll your mouse, zoom in, you can see our character, but you can see our character is blurred out. We are doing pixel art. So for pixel art we need sharp edges. In GODOT it smooths out any character, that is why it is like this. So to disable this, select a project and the project settings. In the project settings you have to go to rendering. In rendering click texture, and in texture default texture filter to nearest. This is it, and we can see immediately our character is clear and crisp. So we can always play our animations like this. You can see our animations playing on our game engine. You can always increase our FPS to 12 if you want, or you can reduce it just like that. I'm gonna keep this as 8, and just click this autoplay on load. Whenever we reboot the game it should play out. That is why we click this autoplay on load, and that's it for today. See you.